First, every voice matters. Secondly, it's also about enhancing decision making. Thirdly, language accessibility. And finally, it's also about customer-centric approach.
Hello and welcome everybody to this new webinar of Televic Conference. Today we're going to talk about our complete product portfolio. But before we do that, I would like to start off with introducing ourselves. So my name is Stefan de Menk and I'm part of the product management team, and I'm here with Eline. Eline?
Hi Stefan, my name is Eline Delmotte, and I am part of Televic Conference as project lead.
Okay, so before we start the presentation, let's do some small introduction. So this webinar will take about 30 minutes to complete, after which you can find the complete recording on our website, televic.com/conference. So if you want to share this with your colleagues or watch it again, don't hesitate to go there and see the webinar. Please do stay alert throughout this presentation, because we're going to hand out an Amazon gift card to a person who answers all 3 questions. Okay, so let's get started. So I think the majority of you know Televic as a provider of conferencing equipment for a very formal meeting or for large institutions. So think about United Nations, the NATO, European Parliament, and so on. And here our systems are being used to really have a very structured and formal meeting with chairpersons who moderate the meeting, with voting, with agenda, and so on. We're also getting to be known a little bit more when it comes to informal meetings. So these are meetings where we just sit down with colleagues or teammates just to have an informal discussion, to just talk about the topic at hand. This can be in-room or hybrid. But all of these applications are really to be used and are really to be thought of as with a vision of creating a better understanding. And that's what we want to do. That's our vision within the conferencing market as being Televic Conference. So how do we do this? Well, it really starts at one stage with discussion, right? Listen and speak, making sure that you're being understood throughout the meeting in both an informal and a formal way, both in-room and remote. One level up from there is adding agenda or voting. So if you really want to have this structured meetings with a structured agenda and having the possibility to vote, we can also do this. And this is really, let's say, creating better understanding to a next level, because we want to make sure that everybody's vote counts and everybody understands what the actual vote results are. Creating a better understanding, of course, is also very important when it comes to languages. So we want to make sure that everybody can talk and then listen in their own language. So interpretation is key here. And then the last level is multimedia. So we want to not only hear and be heard, but also see and be seen. So we want to make sure that both in-room and remote, everybody can be seen correctly. And for us, this results in the most complete portfolio in the industry. And today in this presentation, we'll go through this complete portfolio. And the way we're going to do this is by using very typical room setups. So instead of just showing you the products, we're going to show the products in their natural habitat as they're being used in conferencing rooms. And we're going to get started with the first conferencing room, which is for us, let's say, the more high-end meeting room. Think about a boardroom, a corporate boardroom, for instance, where you want to have a very high-level, high-end meeting with the different board members. And we within Televic Conference believe that for this you need dedicated audio, right? Every person should have its own microphone and speaker system, allowing you to be always heard in the best way. However, if we look at these types of setups, we often see a lot of different issues. For instance, line of sight issues, right? So it's not only always easy to make sure that a person in the room can see the screen or the monitor, but also the opposite. It's not always easy for the camera to visualize the person in the meeting room. If there's a lot of people, it's sometimes difficult to make them seen correctly. And for this, we actually introduced our first new product, which is called the Unicos. So the Unicos fixes this issue by combining a touch screen, with a webcam, which you can actually see the screen, you can see the participants, you can see the content and participate, but also you can have the webcam view the person simply like with a laptop, for instance, you have a meeting with. So this results in our top product, our Unicos, where you can be seen and participate with our product. Because it's not just a camera and a screen, it's also a platform where you can have a vote, where you can see the agenda, where you can see the active speaker, and so on. So just to recap this product, it's a multifunctional system with a built-in camera, and with using the tiltable screen, you can actually always have the perfect viewing angle. So if we take this setup and we apply this to the full meeting room, this is what we would get. Now, how do we put this into concept? What is the technical setup for this, right? So for this, we start off with a set of Unicos, and we take our multimedia device as well. And then we connect them together with a single loop, which can actually connect everything together and power and provide data to all devices. Why is this such a big advantage, a single loop? Well, it's using standard shielded Cat5e network cables or better. So you don't need any proprietary cabling system for this, but it's also fully redundant. So if one of these cables would break, you still have a fully redundant system. You have still a working system, even with one single cable break. So if you, for instance, want to add a laptop to provide a presentation, for instance, if you want to do a PowerPoint presentation, you can simply use one of our V-in boxes. Or if you still want to use an external screen, you can use the V-out box to provide this as well. And with this, you already have a fully functional system. You have the possibility to share your content on the laptop so that everybody can view it, but you don't have a hybrid meeting just yet. For this, for instance, we can add this Teams PC, a Microsoft Teams room or a Zoom room, and integrate with that by simply connecting the video inbox and the video outbox to this PC or to the MTR, and connect, for instance, over Dante with our central engine, allowing for the audio as well. And with this, we have a fully functioning hybrid meeting concept, which is ready to go. There are many, let's say, added values here and things that you could change. For instance, you could have multiple video inboxes, allowing for multiple views being streamed to the Teams or Zoom setup. But for this, I would like to refer to one of our earlier webinars where we explained this in detail. Moving on, I would like to just quickly have a look at the first poll question. And for this, the question that I would like to ask is, what is for you the main advantage of the Unicos? Is it the fact that it's an elegant design? The fact that it's an all-in-one setup with camera, screen, microphone, and push button. The fact that it's so easy to integrate with existing known hybrid meeting systems such as Teams or Zoom, or the fact that it so easily can fix the line of sight issues. And I'll give you a few seconds to answer this question before I hand it over to Eileen.
Thank you, Stefan. So I'd like to take you guys with me in the room setup of a large conferencing room. And first off, we have the Unicos, which is a perfect device for a chairperson or any meeting moderator for that matter. Now, in a large-scale setup, you also have participants in the room. And the participants in the room use, for example, the Confero Flex. Now this device, the name itself says the application of this is one hardware device that allows you to combine with different licensings according to the needs that you have in the room. It's a touchscreen device and it also has haptic feedback. Now this is a tabletop device and it combines beautifully with our flush mount solutions. And I'd like to point out that we have a number of standard flush mount solutions in our product range, but we also allow to do customized. Customized design, you can select your size, the color that you want, the function that you want. And I'd like to refer also to a previous webinar where we detailed our online design tool, which allows you to play with your design until you are satisfied with your needs. Now, if we go back to the large scale room, we have a lot of participants in the room. And in a larger scale room, we often get confronted with the fact that not every participant speaks the same language. So that triggers the need for simultaneous translation. And here I'd like to talk about our Lingua ID. And this is short for interpretation desk. It means that we designed this product for interpreters and we did it with interpreters. This is actually a device which is ISO compliant to all standards. It has an award-winning ergonomical product. It allows you to add video when you don't have eyes on the room, and it goes up to 64 channels. And we are proud to state that we are the most used interpreter desk in the large European institutions. Now, when we go back to the room, we have our large number of participants, and sometimes we also have an audience in the room. This audience does not participate in the meeting, but it does want to follow what is being said, and in their respective language. And there I'd like to point out that we have two different language interpretation solutions in our product range, being Unite product range and our Lingua IR. Now IR, the name says it itself, this is an infrared-based product. It's an ISO certified product and it has automatic delay line compensation. Now our second product range, Unite product range, is DECT-based. It's easy to install, it's easy to use. The advantage here is that it has encrypted communication. We go with Unite up to 32 channels, and it's a little less than our Lingua Infrared, who goes up to 40 channels. Now, inside the room, we often do see also the need for a streaming solution or for recording inside of the room itself. I'm not going to detail it right now, but camera tracking will be detailed a little bit further along in this webinar. Now, on top of the camera tracking, I'd like to detail also the fact that we also have a nameplate solution. The nameplate, what does it do? It allows you to detail the name of the participant, its function, and also allows you to add the logo of the association that this participant is linked to. Now, let's take a step back a little bit. Let's have a look at our room setup. So we started off with that Unicos, which has, for example, is very useful in terms of meeting moderation. And that's set up in one loop. Then we add our participants, for example, our tabletop devices in this overview. Those participants sometimes have the need to have a simultaneous interpretation in the room, and then we add our Lingua IDs. After that, we can add also our camera tracking solution. As mentioned, we also have our possibility of having an audience in the room that needs language distributed towards themselves via our Unite product range or our Lingua IR. And we shouldn't forget about the fact that we have a nameplate. Now that sounds like a pretty complete setup if you ask me. But in a large-scale room, you are also confronted with the fact that sometimes you have changing of the needs of the room. And there, it's sometimes difficult to change your room setup, and you need a bit more flexibility in terms of adding devices. And then I'd like to jump to the fact that we also allow a combination with wireless devices, specifically our Flex G4 and our Go G4 products, which are our wireless solutions. So first off, our Flex G4, which is the the counterpart of our Flex product, but then in a wireless format. So it has the same functionality, the same flexibility in terms of licenses to be added. It uses Wi-Fi 5 technology. It has a self-healing channel management, and it's built for security. Now our Go G4 is actually the same product in terms of hardware. It looks the same, it does not have a touchscreen, and it's a discussion-only device. In both devices, we can use our batteries. We have a dual battery in use. This dual battery allows you to use your device up to 24 hours. With our Go G4 charger, you are able to do smart charging and also monitor your charging of your device. Now that was all from my side in terms of the large-scale conferencing room, and I'd like to give the word back to Stefan.
Thank you, Eileen, for this very interesting explanation. So we already went through the first room type, which was, let's say, a hybrid high-end meeting room. Then we went through the large-scale conferencing room. Let's have a look at some other room types as well. So Eileen explained the fact that we can actually have an expansion of a large-scale conferencing room with wireless, but that's not the only use case. We could have, for instance, also flexible conference rooms, where you have a wall which is in between, which you can remove and then join two rooms together to form a larger conferencing system. Imagine you have, for instance, two different breakout rooms, and then at the end we want to sit together to have just a summary. This is perfectly possible with two setups that you simply combine together. This is also a setup with wireless or wired, depending on the needs, which can be used for city councils. Now, city councils is not just adding a delegate setup, wired or wireless, together with the chairperson itself. There's also some other things that are added here, such as camera tracking. And that's something that Eileen already alluded to. And we have our camera tracking solution, which can be both cloud-driven or on-premise with TCAM. And here in this case, camera tracking is typically used either to provide a recording or live streaming to the audience, because a lot of city councils throughout the world just want to make sure that the people in the city can actually see what's being discussed during the city councils itself. Not only that, you also have the point that we want to enable remote participants. This is something that really came up during COVID, where not every member of the city council could actually make it to City Hall to sit down with everybody else. You had social distancing and such on. So we wanted to enable those hybrid conferences as well. Now that was not so easy as just using Teams or Zoom in this case. Teams and Zoom was great if you just want to have this informal meeting. But from the moment you need a little bit more formal setup, you would need a different type of setup or different type of system. And for this, we introduce our Confero Meet and Plan with Confero Cam as camera tracking. So why is this different than Teams and Zoom? Well, first of all, it starts off with meeting moderation, right? So in Teams or Zoom, you can simply enable your microphone and start talking whenever you want to start talking. Here, however, with Confero Meet, you have the possibility to moderate the meeting as a chairperson. So a person has to actually request to start speaking, and then the chairperson has to acknowledge that. This is a choice. You have these different microphone modes which you can select to, similar to an in-room system. Secondly, you have the agenda management system. You see that on the top left in this screen. We have the different agenda points where you can see what the topic is, where we're discussing about. And this really comes in hand when you're having these long meetings and you want to know at which topic we have landed at this moment. And then lastly, on the right, you see the voting. And you want to make sure that the voting here is also counted just the same as you were if you would be in the room. So this is very important for the city councils where these important decisions are being made. We're also expanding this with language distribution, so you can actually listen to your own language when following these types of meetings. So this is, let's say, our city council setup. Moving on, I want to just ask a quick question. So this is something that Eileen already mentioned. So what would the autonomy be of the Flex G4 when you have the two batteries in there? Is it 1 hour, 12 hours, 24 hours or 48 hours? I'll give you again a few seconds to answer this question before continuing. Okay, so let's continue with the next step in this webinar. And I would like to talk a little bit about informal hybrid meetings. Now, this probably seems familiar to the first step, where we had these large-scale multimedia boardroom-style meetings. This is, for us, somewhat different, right? An informal hybrid meeting for us is defined by, for instance, hands-free meetings. This is something when we entered this market segment, we wanted to introduce basically the possibility not having to push a button when you want to talk, right? If you go into these informal meetings with your colleagues, typically you just sit down and you started talking. And this is what we wanted to have with our product as well. Just be aware, this is not the same as voice activation, which is a standard microphone mode in a lot of systems. Voice activation will, let's say, cut off the microphones until you start speaking. And this is something that's sometimes very annoying, because if you just answer a short sentence, just like yes, that would be captured by the microphone. With hands-free meetings, we use gain sharing, and with that, all microphones up to 32 in Plexus and 16 with the D-Cerno are always active. Now, this allows us the possibility to introduce individual mute as well. So by freeing up that microphone button, we can now simply use the microphone button itself, not to enable speech, but to mute yourself. So if you need to cough, you need to sneeze, or you want to drink something, you can simply do that. That seems to be a trivial feature, but for us, it's extremely important in some types of meetings. For instance, a client-attorney meeting where the client wants to say something to the attorney without being transmitted to the far end. So you have the possibility to mute yourself, which is pretty unique in this informal meeting space. Moving on, we want to make sure this product is easy to use, and we'll explain how we do that in a later stage, but also very easy to integrate. So both our features are very crucial for us, because we want our products in this market space to be used by not necessarily AV knowledgeable people. Let's say this type of corporate meetings is one option. A second one would be courtrooms. Here in courtrooms, you have the same type of meetings where sometimes you have remote witnesses. You want to have the possibility that all microphones are open, and so everything that's being said is recorded in the system. And you want something that is very easy setup and very easy to be integrated with. And for these two applications, we would like to introduce our new product, which is the D-Cerno. So the D-Cerno is something that is already known in the market for, I think, over 10 years. But recently, a few weeks ago, we actually introduced our new central engine, which is the D-Cerno AE, which you can here see in the middle. So some of the key features of the D-Cerno AE. First of all, we use the same delegate units as before. So if you have an existing system, you can simply swap out the central unit and have use of these new features. Some of them I would like to highlight here is, again, that redundant Cat5e cabling, which we mentioned already before with Plexus. But with this product, you also have a single USB connection, and you can connect a single channel USB to your PC and immediately have an integration with Teams and Zoom. So in Teams and Zoom, you simply select the D-Cerno product as your microphone speaker combo, and you are ready to go. We also have an internal and external recording possibility, and even have the possibility to integrate with third-party multi-channel USB recording devices. We have AES67 on this product and advanced audio routing capabilities. But for more information, I would like to refer you to our webinar on this specific product. Again, just to summarize the setup that we would like to have here. So similar to our Plexus setup, you would have the central unit and then a loop of these D-Cerno delegate units. But we do have the possibility here to just simply connect one USB cable to your PC or to an MTR, for instance, for easy hybrid meetings. So you don't need any programming, any configuration, any setup time. Simply plug it in and you are ready to go. If you need a little bit more, if you want to integrate, we have the possibility to have AES67 connection to, for instance, a DSP. And with the integrated DSP mode, you can, for instance, take every single microphone and speaker, put it on individual channels, and just process everything in the DSP. Moving on, I would just like to close off with the complete overview of our portfolio. So again, similar to how we started with the 4 different levels, I would like to repeat that here as well. So at the bottom, we have our discussion systems, being the D-Cerno for wired, and then the Go G4 for wireless. So the Go G4 is just the discussion-only version of the Flex G4, which is on top of that, which is our wireless conferencing system, the equivalent of the Confero Flex. Then, of course, we have our interpretation systems with both the interpreter desk and the language distribution systems. And all the way on top, we have our multimedia systems, where I added the nameplate as well, as this is a cool feature. If you want to have camera tracking, you always see the person in view with his nameplate in front. This gives us, let's say, on a device level, the full overview. Just to have a look at the central units as well. On the bottom, we have, again, our D-Cerno AE. Then we have the wireless equivalent with the WAP G4. And then the multimedia engine, Plexus MME, and the audio-only engine, the AER. And then to close it off, we have our Plexus Gateway, which connects either the MME or the AER to the cloud for instance, Confero Cam, Confero Meet, or Confero Plan. And this concludes our complete product portfolio. So just before we close off here today, one final poll question. Question number 3, what interface does the new D-Cerno AE not have? Don't we have any USB connection, analog I/O, AES67, or don't we have an HDMI interface? Again, I'm going to give you a few seconds before we continue. Okay. So we are coming to the end of our presentation today. So first of all, thank you very much for attending this and listening to both myself and Eileen. Before I go, just some small additional information. Like I said, you can find this webinar, the recording of it, and all our other webinars on our website, as you can see here on top. I would also like to invite you all to our next webinar, where we're going to dive a little bit deeper in multilingual meetings, so with interpretation. This is June 13th, so you can register here or on our website as well. And then don't forget to follow us on our socials, both LinkedIn, YouTube, or Facebook. Thank you very much, and hopefully until next time.
First, every voice matters. Secondly, it's also about enhancing decision making. Thirdly, language accessibility. And finally, it's also about customer-centric approach.